So, what are my thoughts on liberal democracy, Francis Fukuyama, neoliberal capitalism, the replacement for it, and the economy of life of East Asia and nihilism? I first read Francis Fukuyama in college. I briefly went over the little history, the end of history and the Last Man. I didn't read the entire book in its from start to finish, but I went over a few chapters in the book out of my own curiosity. I read a very interesting and valid points. Probably the book is known because the whole thesis is that Western man will be the pretty much the final form of humanity, and that everybody's going to succumb to that power and be westernized into this global market. It's really naive and pretty much the dooming ignorance of the Gen X generation. It's pretty much neoconservative in a nutshell, and it's really ignorant and stupid. It's something like laughable, like reading something in the 1950s about a certain subject and you laugh at it. Well, this is a certain book of the 80s or 90s. You just look and you laugh at it, how dumb the Gen X generation was. I think like idiot French postmodernists like Derrida, Lacan, Foucault, whatever fraudulent people like Zizek, they are basically what these phony academics, pop academics in the 80s loved because they thought of that the world was the end of history. And really, this is just baby boomerism 2.0. Ironically, though, Fukuyama, you could translate it as him being some Asian Aryan, as he might even say that if this is the end of history, then you might as well have all the white males marry the Asian females out of some multiculturalism or diversity, and they have an Asian Aryan offspring, right? If we're really talking about liberal democracy and about the American, is that even a suitable form? Well, again, democracy has been very critical. People have been very critical about democracy, and we've already said that it takes a certain people to have a democracy to happen. If you were to have liberal democracy on a large scale, it turns out non-whites are going to vote for Obama because he's black, or, and there's going to be more control, and it just shows you how bad democracy is. For the neoliberal capitalism, assumes that the American model can be worldwide. You can sell Coca-Cola here and there, and everyone follows those same business practices. But different races translate, and they don't really work well in that system. And just read American Renaissance on the front page. You can learn everything about race realism and how other races have a really hard time fitting in with the American system or how they translate it. There's a great philosophical talk by Greg Johnson of Countercurrents, and he recently had a talk at the London Forum about Martin Heidegger and the ethnic nationalism. He talks about the introduction passage to the book The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, and how the main character, an architect, is going to architect school to learn how to make buildings, but he doesn't care about the traditions, which are gifts. Traditions are gifts to people to learn about, but rather he's going to do his own thing. And this fuddy-duddy information, he really doesn't care. He's just going to make it, he's going to play the game, get to the top, and do whatever. Most people do that. Most tradition is stupid. Derrida is fucking stupid. But the point is that he looks at the world as resources, right? The world's not in control of him. He's in control of those same resources. And we try to put meaning and reason into these things. And the problem is there's been this bad Western tradition that we put our reason to things and keep using and abusing, exploiting, so we can get our bizarre Erik Erikson psychosocialism or reasoning across. And it's bad, really. Martin Heidegger in Being in Time saw this as a problem in Western history and tried to solve that. Ironically, though, not ironically, but the ideal is he becomes a National Socialist as he finds that as a solution. I would strongly suggest to listen to that interview or that podcast because it has a lot to say about what most modern man thinks and why Francis Fukuyama would come to this conclusion that the end of history would be some silly Western empire. This is just them trying to use and abuse these things because they believe in nihilism, and they think nihilism, there's no meaning in anything, so they have to consume and consume. And when they stop consuming, do they realize that people have boundaries, and it's a part of a spiritual growth anyone would have. This is also a problem in the economy of the life of East Asians, as it seems like America pretty much owns Japan or rapes them during the war, and now have ownership over the people. And Japan can't have a military, and so that's why white people love Japanese, because they're the good cats they can cuddle and have sex with. Meanwhile, you have the Chinese that make everything for the world. They don't like Chinese because Chinese are tough guys. And the South Koreans is another rape friend of the white people, and the North Koreans they hate everyone. And so the economy of Japan is so bad because white people just want to reappropriate it and make it whitopia. Japanese are not allowed to be self-determined, and have media that saturates them. It's just not working for them. It's like giving the wrong food and the wrong digestive system, and so they're having these problems. The Japanese are like these little autistic kids or something now. They need to have their own space to work out things. There is a certain nihilism that is happening, and this only nihilism is really it's a white people thing, really. Nihilism is a white people thing. Other non-whites, there are other words for nihilism, but nihilism is a uniquely white people thing because it's in the liberal tradition, and white people just cry because they don't get what they want, and so they just go anywhere and take what they need. That's kind of typical. And so the way to get rid of nihilism is to set boundaries and limits, and to understand that people have their own self-determination. Pretty much simplistic things, really. The replacement, where you could say Martin Heidegger argued for National Socialism, I would say first the replacement would be ethnonationalism, as ethnonationalism seems to be the talk of the town wherever you go on the internet, and people really believe that ethnonationalism is the surrogate for the multicultural and diverse regime. I recently had a talk on Radio Asian Aryan with Persephone, who is a Greek lady married to a Korean man. She's a wife, and she says she's fighting for multiculturalism and diversity and egalitarianism. If you ever read anything by the Austrian school, like Murray Rothbard, we know that egalitarianism is a revolt against nature and is a very bad thing to have. It's completely a normie thing. Egalitarianism does not work. It should not be, left-wing politics should not be based around egalitarianism. Equality is its code of its own. I mean, if you ever read George Orwell, Animal Farm, some are more equals than other. It's this thing that I don't know what white people fall for, and they wish the whole world was white like them. It's terrible when you have these white globalists intervening other countries, because really it's just both race realists and, like you said, neoconservative, because it's they're pretending race is not real, but they go in these non-white countries and they treat them like animals, and they try to make them white because they know how dumb they are. They just don't want to admit it. And other people call that racism, whatever you want to call it. That seems to be that it's Rudyard Kipling's the white man question. Should white people go out of the world, their country, and make the whole world white like us and make everything better? Or should white people respect the boundaries and limits of people, and we create this better society on ethnonationalism? So if you really are a true believer of human biodiversity, you would support, ethnonationalism, as it is the next step after the multicultural and diverse regime. Everyone is now red-pilled and questioning liberalism, which is a really good thing. And we can definitely see a new system based upon more healthy and family normative things than crazy, selfish individualism, cowboyism that is happening in the West and making everyone depressed. We don't need this freedom. Freedom doesn't make us happy. Family makes us happy. And so we're going to see much more of probably something like there's this anime that my friend showed me called the Battle of the Galactic Heroes, right? The Battle of the Galactic Heroes, and it's totally the most Asian Aryan. No, it's the Legend of the Galactic Heroes is the most Asian Aryan thing ever. Super German Japanese mega race of people that has an empire by this man named Rudolph, who's the new Imperium of Mankind, destroys all the decadents, and they are super Asian Aryan. Yeah, so check out Greg Johnson's speech, that anime, and tune into Radio Asian Aryan on SoundCloud, link below.